We're on, girl. Oh, wow. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us today. I've had a few technical problems, but we're going to keep our fingers crossed that it runs nice and smoothly for the next hour. Okay, and I just want to thank you so much for joining me every week on Leslie Starts a Conversation. I really do appreciate all your love and support, beautiful comments, and yeah, I just really appreciate it. So I just want to say a big thank you to you all for following me. And today, wow, today we have got an absolutely beautiful guest. I am honoured. I am so honoured to have Tashi Brown with us today, sharing her story with us, because Tashi is doing some absolutely beautiful work in Leeds and beyond. It's just amazing. Her bio, Tashi, your bio was just like, wow, this is just absolutely fantastic, the work, what you're doing. It's brilliant. And so let me just give the audience, before I bring you in, Tashi, let me just give the audience a little bit about you. So Tashi, she has been involved in many activities, from dancing to youth activity groups. After leaving school, Tashi studied her A-levels in science, psychology, and then a degree in counselling. She worked as a support worker, an estate agent. She has been on Britain's Next Top Model. Wow. I mean, yeah. I mean, how beautiful are you? Stunning. She also, oh, you see, I'm rubbish now because now I can't even say the word, and I was practicing the word. I was practicing
Embalmer.
the word. Embalmer. How brilliant is that?
Yay!
Yes. So Tashi, she did not stop there. She went back to university to study media in makeup and special effects, in reconstruction and long-term preservation. Tashi at the moment is studying a master's degree in humanitarian conflict, crisis, disaster. Wow, that is a mouthful. That is a real mouthful. She works as a freelance, as a professional published makeup artist and qualified embalmer. In 2016, Tashi started a non-profit organisation called Team Creative, bringing people together. Christmas 2019, Team Creative was a part of delivering foods for families. Over COVID-19, Team Creative were distributing weekly food for over 70 families within the area. Tashi and her team are absolutely amazing. And they ran a summer health eating club despite all the challenges what we've been facing for the past few months. So without further ado, please welcome Tashi Brown. Thank you so much.
Yay! I don't know why. Don't gas me up. Leslie, do not be getting me all gassed.
You know Tashi, you are amazing. You're doing amazing work. You really are. It's absolutely brilliant. So my first question has got to be about the work, what you do, embalming. Whatever possessed you to think of doing that? Why?
Yeah, it's I don't know. I think there's things for different types of people, and I've come now to the realization that I am definitely a different type of person. I've always had like a strange fascination, so to speak, with death-related matters. So I was obsessed with CSI and all the forensic scientist programs on TV. It was never an issue to me. I've never had that emotional connection like some people do. I'm quite a pragmatic person, quite a logical person, and some people say that I'm quite hard emotionally, in terms of I don't cry over the simplest things, or I'm not that emotionally attached to a lot of the average stuff. So it was a real natural progression, or I possess the natural skills that one would need to have to be in such of a profession. From the age of about, I think it was 18, I lost my auntie. She was only 38, 39 when she'd passed away, unfortunately. And that was the first ever experience that I had with seeing a deceased. I'd never seen a deceased ever before in my life. Didn't even have them conversation as a young woman about what happens when you die. The thought of, dealing with a funeral or anything of the sort was something that was quite alien. And it is to most people.
Yeah, it is.
But unfortunately, with my auntie, or fortunately for my auntie, with her having beautiful afro hair, she naturally, used to wear African head wraps. That was something that we got as a family used to seeing her dressed in that way. I remember the funeral director saying to my mum and my aunties at the time and my grandma that, they didn't know how to do that. They didn't know how to wrap her hair in that formal African Caribbean attire. And if we wanted her to have her head wrapped, somebody in the family would have to do so. And they would do so, obviously, under the funeral director's guidance. And I remember the whole entire family like, oh, no, we don't want to do that. Oh, God, what are we going to do? And I was like, and I think I was 18 at the time. And I was like, I'll do it. I was like, I can't see that being a problem. I'd rather try and do it and present her the best way we can. And that was my very first interaction, so to speak, with a person that had passed away. And everybody in the family was like, oh, you're going to be so emotional, you're going to break down, it's going to be really stressful, it's going to be difficult for you. And I remember being more concerned about the way my auntie looked rather than the emotional relationship that probably one would have in terms of, this is my auntie that I'm lost, and she's here in a, on this table, and it's just not pleasant. I was so infixated on her looking the best that she could. And I managed to do it, and there was no problems. And that's really where it planted the seed with my relationship later on in the funeral industry. Was really at that point. That was really a pivotal point for me, where that was the start of my relationship with deceased. So it was, time had gone by, completely took a different path, never thought about being in the funeral industry. After that point, wasn't even something that I'd thought about until years later. We'll talk about, what led me to that point. But there comes a point in your life where you have to go back to the drawing board. You go back to the things where you was younger, and you think, if I had no responsibilities, if I chose what profession, what career I would do, what would I actually do? What am I passionate about? And where do my skills lie? And what transferable skills do I have that would equip me in whatever profession I want to go into? And I just kept hearing this noise about the funeral industry and presentation and making people look, well, and especially culturally. The more I started looking into that profession, is the more I realized there is no Black people in this industry. And the Black people that are in the industry are a minority, and a genuine, we make up, I think, is it less than 2% of the people that work in the funeral industry in the UK are Black Caribbean. So it started making me question about if we struggle on a day-to-day basis by when we're alive and we've got a pulse and we've got blood, circulating our body, and we go to the makeup artist at your local, store, and they don't get our makeup right, and they don't get to present us correctly, and we're alive and we can give them the advice that, we need to. Can you imagine what it's like when we're in a coffin?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's just, and it's culturally.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, so it was difficult. So it kind of really resonated quite deep with myself. The more I started investigating, the more I started doing my research into that profession, is the more it was shouting and screaming at me saying,
Do
you
it.
need to go down, you need to
Yeah.
see. So that's really how it started.
Fantastic. That's just amazing. But I totally get that, because I like talking to people. I like finding out about people, and that's why I'm here, and that kept on shouting at me, go and do it, Leslie. Don't be shy. Just go and do it. That's where, if that's where your passion is, then you've got to take that path. So that's amazing. And you are the first Black embalmer in the UK. How do you feel about that? That's amazing.
I think it's something that I don't really celebrate enough. Now, there are Black embalmers in the UK. A lot of them are males. There's more and more Black female embalmers now that we're seeing through our work with. I work with an exceptionally talented young woman who we go through this journey together. But when I first started out, there was no one. There was no one.
When was that?
That was in 2014, I think.
Wow.
That's when I qualified.
Yeah.
But I've been in the funeral industry now for over a decade.
Wow.
So
Awesome.
I started out as a funeral arranger, became a funeral director, did back of house. So that's like the bearers, the pallbearers. So I drive the limos, I drive the hearse, I'd do removals, which was, to me, I'd say to anyone that's going to go into the funeral industry, make sure you're an all-rounder. Have a good understanding of the entire process. Don't just pick and choose which parts that you do, because it's a web. It really is. It's a network of a process. And what makes you a good funeral professional is when you have a good understanding of what families are going to go through. And if you understand the process and you understand from the minute someone passes away, what happens? Okay, so they'll talk to the funeral arranger, they'll speak to the funeral director. Then you've got a team of people that will go out to wherever their loved one has passed away, whether that be at a house, that could be at a nursing home, it could be at a hospital. Unfortunately, sometimes it could be in an accident and that person has been declared dead at the site. And they will call the funeral directors and say, come and pick this person up. So it gives you a real good understanding, and it gives you a good perspective of what actually goes on behind the scenes, which equips you with the skills and the empathy that you will need to be able to have them difficult conversations with family. And then what it did for me as an embalmer, so a lot of people think, so let's just clear this up for the record.
Go on.
A lot of people think an embalmer is someone that puts makeup on dead people. That's the first thing that people think. And it's actually not. I probably will use 5%. Most of my cases, probably 5% is where I'd put makeup on.
Okay.
Being an embalmer means we preserve the body so that families can come and view, and it's safe. Right. It's environmentally safe. It's physically and practically safe for family to touch, because we don't always know the circumstances surrounding someone's death. We don't know the conditions where someone might have been. So it's important that as embalmers we get that point across. It's not just about presentation, it's about preservation and sanitation. And this is important from an environmental perspective. And I always say to people, I don't want to sound insensitive, and I mean this in the most respectfulest way. When we're alive, it's our organisms, it's our blood, it's all these things that make us alive, that keep bacteria, that keep infections and viruses away. Our bodies are constantly working 24 hours a day, round the clock, which gives us all the abilities that we need to stay, healthy, fit, alive, all the rest of it. Once we stop breathing and our body's no longer pumping blood around, these bacteria and viruses that are naturally in every single body are now able to plague our body, so to speak. So what embalming does, it helps slow down that process, which is deterioration. Every single day, every hour, someone is no longer with us. Their spirit is gone, but their body is still here. It's so important that there is a process if family want to view, if we are going to have lengthy periods of time, whether it be waiting for family to come from back home for the funeral. So we can't have the funeral until 4 weeks because Nan's coming from St. Kitts.
Yeah.
Well, this is 4 weeks where someone's dignity is going to change. All these natural processes are now changing because we can't stop the elements of the earth. So it's like having a chicken. If it's not kept in a cool environment, if it's not wrapped correctly, and if there isn't a process that we do with our food naturally, whether it's organically or chemically, there's going to be a deterioration, there's going to be decomposition. So if you left your chicken out on the side for 2 weeks, it's not going to be the same. So it's the same sort of principle that we have to maintain a level of respect and dignity for that person who's passed away, if there's going to be a length of time. So the job as an embalmer is to kind of restore that in the most humane, dignified, respectful way for both the deceased and the family. And that's what we do. So we there's a chemical process that as embalmers that we do to make sure that person is maintained in the best way possible. And that's why you study for such a long period of time. You study for about, it can range depending on your work availability, because you work and study at the same time, because it's one of them professions, no matter how much you research, no matter how much you have the theory, nothing is going to prepare you for some of the things you will experience in the mortuary than hands-on. So, there's a whole level and a whole array of studying and experience that you need to have before you're kind of let loose. And it's more about your mindset, because some of the things you can't guarantee you're just going to get lovely old pensioners that passed away in their sleep. It's their time now. Unfortunately, you get children, you get trauma cases, and that's one of the areas that I specialize in. So I specialize in trauma cases. So that's people, unfortunately, that might have had a severe accident, might have been died as a result of a violent crime. So you get the gunshot wounds, I get the very traumatic cases, and it's more to help families with their final grieving process, because one of the not easiest, but it's difficult to accept loss when it's unexpected.
It is.
So if God forbid, if someone was to knock your door and say someone's gone and you expecting them home, how can you really accept that? So the demand for me is when families can't accept that, it's like, I need to see my loved one. I need to see, I need to see my child. I need to see my husband. I need to see whoever it is. I have to see them. So how can you as professionals, allow a family member to view someone when there's so much trauma? So all that does, it leaves an everlasting impression in that person's head, which is psychologically, it just prolongs the whole process. So I will get the phone calls to say, Tasha, can you come and see what you can do for, Mr. Joe Bloggs? Mum is adamant she needs to see him. Can you restore some peaceful and a peaceful appearance? And like I said, that's through preservation, it's through sanitation, and it's through presentation. So that's what took me to specialize in media makeup and special effects, because there was no formal training when it comes to cosmetology. So posthumous, I call it posthumous cosmetology. There was no formal training. It was very old school techniques like wax, and like, well, Frankenstein, we don't want people looking at Frankenstein, we've got great techniques now. And if you look at TV and film, how can you make Brad Pitt look like Benjamin Button? He looked like this old man. And I know a lot of it was CGI, but a lot of it was makeup and prosthetics. So it was, why can't we apply that in the mortuary? Why can't we use that in the mortuary?
Wow, that's absolutely. Thank you so much, Tashi, for sharing that, because I didn't even realise, what was actually involved in, behind the scenes, so, thank you so much for sharing that. And now I'm just like, wow, it's, that's even more amazing, that you can do this sort of work, and helping so many people, so many families, to view their lost ones. So wow, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate it. So, you've got two children yourself, and so you said that, you've done a lot of studying. So how have you managed with your two children? 'Cause you've got a daughter, Shanae, who's
Yeah.
20, and Cairo, who's 11. Yeah. So how do you juggle? How do you juggle your work and looking after your kids?
I think you always find time, you prioritize the things that's important to you. So, when I was younger, I was kind of like the person that was in between everything.
You're still young, can I just say?
Yeah,
yes,
I'm definitely still young. Definitely.
Yes, exactly.
And that's what's nice growing with my daughter is I had my daughter fairly young. I was 20 when I had my daughter. So I am still a very young mum. And it's mental that we're studying together pretty much. She's at university studying biomedicine and she's doing, I'm so proud of her. She's really got her head, screwed on and she's very ambitious. And I couldn't be more proud. But I had to put a pause on a lot of my studies when I was younger because being at university, I was studying a degree in counselling. And just let me clear this up, I didn't actually quite qualify as a counsellor because my studies got disrupted with being a young mum. Yeah. And one of the things that I found was that it was more about the challenges that I had with other people's mindsets. It was other people's attitudes. Yeah. It wasn't actually that I was never capable of studying and being a more academic person. It was other people's, oh, you're a young mom, nothing's going to amount to you. I lost a lot of friends at the time, like one of them, and I love her to bits, even up to this day now. But, my relationships with some of the closest people to me at that time, I had lost. And, I was in a healthy relationship, a young people's relationship, but a very healthy relationship. So it wasn't anything that was something to be ashamed of. So as I've got older now, and as my kids have got older, I've realized that I needed to go back to study just so that I found the certain circles that I was now venturing into. People take you more serious when you've got them titles to your name. Yeah. People take you a lot more serious when you can say, I've been to university and I've got a degree or I've got a master's or I'm a PhD, which to me I've got mixed reviews about it because this is really, it really is a very Eurocentric way of learning and opinion. And it doesn't make a person any more intellectually superior because you've studied. All it does is show people that you've committed to something and you understand the format and you've successfully completed the requirements that's set by other people to master in this area. But we all know how many people have got degrees in subjects that they don't even go on to use their profession.
Yeah, exactly. There's lots of people. Yeah, there is.
But what I will say to all young people, if you have the opportunity to study, definitely go and study at university, because what is more important is the people that you're studying with. Yeah. And depending on the course and the subject, that environment, you learn so much about yourself. You learn so much about really focusing on a subject. You learn about the curriculums and the systems, and you learn how to focus on a particular subject or a field. The people that you're around, your fellow students, may go on to be, the prime ministers, may go on to be successful business owners, whoever they are. These are people that you kind of rub shoulders with for many years while you were studying. And more importantly, it gives you really fond memories and a great subject to talk about when you are in professional circles, when you're talking about, I was at Manchester University studying humanitarian and this, that, and the other. And, I was there with who might have gone on to be, Professor so-and-so on, who's now in charge of climate change globally, working for the UN. These are these are really great conversations to have, but it's still quite superficial, and that's really all what it is about. And I say that in a very general way. That's not the case for everyone, and it's not everyone's story. And education is so important. Well, but it's so important to have a really diverse educational palette. And I think that's what I've had. My education has come from different sources. It's come from working in the voluntary sector. It's come from, you know, doing the many different roles, whether it be from my cleaning job at the age of 19 to working in the local pub where I was a waitress, whether that was, you know, working as an estate agent. Yeah, definitely being able to travel, being able to, you know, that in itself is a whole hour discussion, the whole modeling experience. You know, psychologically having to accept that my body had changed dramatically once I had my second child. Well, before I had my second child, to be honest. Just the fact that I didn't really concentrate as much as I could have done and really pushed myself in the modeling industry. I turned down a lot of work, but that was because I was older. I went into modeling relatively old. I wasn't a 17-year-old girl that got scouted out on the streets of, you know, London. I wasn't on, you know, I wasn't on Oxford Street walking around like Kate Moss or Naomi Campbell and that got spotted. I fell into modeling more about my personality more than anything. You know.
Oh, what's happened? Are we frozen?
Oh. Working as an estate agent in Leeds City Centre at the time, and I was renting out. I was in charge of the letting, so I was renting out all the apartments, penthouse apartments. It was in city centre. So that's just when we had like Magellan House and all your fancy blocks had just kind of been built. And one of the apartments that I was renting out to a client, he was a designer, and he was just renting it out for a few months, and he'd come up to Leeds to showcase his new collection. And he's come into the office stumbling, all sweaty and all tired and exhausted, and he was like, and he wasn't from the UK, and he was basically saying that his model had let him down. And I was in the back office now, and he's speaking to my manager, and I'd walked through, and at that times I was really, really slim, and I'd walked through, and he was like, oh my God, you are amazing, you are beautiful, you are beautiful. And I was like, who the hell is this weirdo? And, he just basically said that his one of his main models, who the clothing was, you know, specifically designed for her, she's let him down, and he desperately needs someone to wear this outfit. Can you walk? And I was like, girl, of course I can walk. And you know, strutting my stuff in the office, thinking, but I wasn't taking myself serious at all. I really wasn't taking myself serious. It wasn't anything that, you know, I'm thinking this man's having a laugh. Do you know what I mean? And he just basically was like, you're perfect. Can I book you for tonight? And I was like, well, how much am I going to get paid? So he said X, Y, Z. So I was like, yeah, I'll turn up tonight. And that's really the first time I'd ever done a fashion show other than doing bits of modeling as a child. And it was a great experience. And I was, because I didn't take myself serious, I didn't have the same sort of pressure as all the other models that was there. So these were all working models. You know, they were all doing the thing very professional, but they were really taking themselves serious, where I was just like, well, I'm getting paid, like this is just an opportunity, it's in my hometown, like what clothes you want me to wear, like whatever. And that's how I really fell into it. But I think a lot of it was because of my personality more than anything. And I remember, I think family members had said, oh, you should do that reality show, Britain's Next Top Model. I think you're perfect, because although you're kind of a bit of a model, you've got the qualities of a model. You're tall, you're a size A. You know, I was, you know, I'm 5'11", so it's like you're size A, and you've got this attitude, and you know, perfect. And I was like, it's not really for me, but I'll give it a go. Like I said, I've never been a person frightened to take risks or to grab any opportunities that come my way. So it was just another opportunity, and luckily I kind of stumbled onto the show, and surprisingly did quite good. Got to the finals out of 13 girls, but it was always a difficult journey for me with that show, because I was always seen as the big girl. I was borderline a plus size model. which to me I thought was absolutely ridiculous because I was like a size 8, 10. I was nearly 6 foot. He was like, well, how slim, unless you want me to look like a crackhead? I like, how slim do you want me to be? Like, I didn't understand it. But obviously that was the look. They were going for that high fashion model. Always naturally had big breasts. So even when I was at my smallest, still had like a, you know, big D cup. So it was the whole modeling experience for me. People always tried to push me down the glamour modeling route. It was always underwear, lingerie sort of shows. And it was like, and I remember having a conversation with my dad at the time, and it was many years ago. And, you know, he said, all I ask is don't do anything that, you know, your family or your parents or your brothers would be ashamed of. Please just don't. Keep your clothes on. My mum always said the same thing. Just always have respect for yourself. Don't ever do anything where you're compromising your integrity, the respect that you have for yourself. And just remember, your biggest cheerleader or your biggest fan is watching everything that you do. And that was my daughter at the time. That was Shania. She was around about 2, 3, maybe 4, once I really got into like proper modeling. And we know we have to lead by example, and anything that I do will come back to haunt me. My daughter will see. She will see images. If I go topless or anything like that, it will come back. So it kind of kept me grounded, really, really kept me grounded. But at the same time, it limited the potential that I could have had in that profession. If maybe I was willing to do other things. But I always say now that profession was never made for me. No. But I learned a lot. I travelled and I learned a lot.
Fantastic. Yeah, it must have been amazing to do that, you know. And so how long did you do it for?
So I started modelling properly modelling. The show was in 2004. 2004, and I stopped modelling probably about 2 years before I had my son. So roughly around about 2007. So it was only really for a few years. It was like it was only for a few years. But that was like, it was full time. That was, you know, I laugh when I hear a lot of girls, especially like this whole Instagram model sort of thing. I laugh because I think, if that's not your main income and that's how you pay your bills full time, or even if it's part time, but that's your only source of income, then really, babes, you know, it's kind of it's a hustle. It's just a hustle. It's a hustle. It's not a career. It's a hustle. So, you know, at one point that was my only income for a while, but it just started to dry up. I was, you know, not doing certain jobs and got to points where, you know, I had to take on other part-time work, and, you know, I found myself doing little bits and bobs, and I was cleaning in between, and I was doing little jobs. And at one point I had to go on benefits. At one point I was telling people, and people thought I was this great international model, you know, because they'd seen me on one show, or they'll see me at an award ceremony, or I'm doing red carpet, or, you know, doing the typical model behavior thing. But there were times where I wasn't actually getting paid. I weren't earning. I literally was not earning. It was all for the clout. It was all for how things looked. And, you know, you get your freebies, and you get, you know, you're rubbing shoulders with quite high profile and quite successful, you know, entertainers, but you're not really making any hard cash. It's just, but on the outside, it looks amazing on the outside. Oh Lord, I'm like Hollywood. At one point, it's like Hollywood, but you're not making any money. You're not, you know, you're lucky if you're getting paid. And that's because there were so many girls at the time that looked similar to myself, where the industry was inundated with pretty brown-skinned women that would do stuff for free and would do the job because they're 17 or they're 18, and there's this big old 26-year-old woman at the time trying to do a you know, sports campaign, and you're competing against a 17-year-old.
Exactly. Wow.
It's like, it's mental. It's, you know, it's mental. So it was quite a few, but
it's a nice experience to have then, you know, 'cause it's a nice subject to talk about, you know, British Next Top Model. That's fantastic. You know, just having that on your bio is brilliant. But yeah, I understand, you know, it's not all it seems to be, you know, but that's brilliant. So tell me about, you know, what made you start this team creative? Because you're doing all sorts there, you know, and I
I
know,
am.
yeah. So what inspired you to get that started?
It's just life. I don't know how to explain a lot of things. Like I said, I've got my hands in so many different things, and I've always been quite a creative person from a young age. My parents really instilled that into me. So my dad's a musician, an artist, so like he's a brilliant painter and really, really creative. And the same thing for my mum. My mum is really, really practical, really good with DIY. You know, really good at problem solving.
Yeah.
And really fashion, like my mum is super fashionable. Like,
Yes, she is.
oh, when you see my mum, you know my mum,
Yeah.
she's really into her fashion.
She is.
So that combination, but they're both grafters, and my mum in particular is just such a grafter. So it was always something that was in me to be quite creative. Being in school always was really creative, always in all the art clubs and the
Yeah.
drama and the dance and the all these sort of activities. And we grew up with carnival being a massive part of my heritage. Growing up in Chapeltown, in Leeds, carnival every August, bank holiday, that was something as children. Even my siblings that don't live in Leeds, that was our annual event that I guaranteed I will see family members from Oxford, from Manchester, from wherever all my family's from.
Yeah.
We'd see friends, and my mum would buy us like the best outfit, carnival, you know, always like, you know, in your matching outfits, me and my sisters and stuff. And so it was something growing up culturally that we look forward to.
Yeah.
And what I found is, as I grew older and having my own children, that my children didn't have anything like that. So my daughter in particular didn't have any kind of events where we celebrated us as Black, British, Caribbean, you know, citizens. We didn't have anything. They didn't have really anything that they kind of felt that it was their own.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, I need to kind of make sure my children have a really good connection to their heritage and to their culture, and that they're not congested with too much white culture, because every single day they're bombarded with the TV, the media, with school, with the books that they read, with academics. Everything is really, you know, very white, you know, and I mean that in the most respectfulest way, but it's very white. And they are not white children. They are Black, British, Caribbean children. And I feel like it's so important as human beings, and especially, I'm just keeping it 100% real, as Black people, that we make sure we have and maintain and sustain our cultural connections, because we will lose generations, and we will lose our beauty and gift if we no longer continue to practice our traditions, whatever that may be, whether you're from Africa or wherever you're from, the Caribbean or wherever you're from. We need to sustain and maintain our cultural connections.
Absolutely.
So carnival was, for me, was a no-brainer. It was like, well, not only was I inspired by the other designers, you know, for years watching Hubon Condor making some magnificent costumes, you know, you've got all your other designers, you've got Sheila Howarth, you know, you know, you've got Sinclair, you've got so many designers, you know, you've got Anonymous, you've got Parisha, you've got so many designers that were making costumes before me every year. You know, I've looked at these people's costumes and thought they're brilliant, but I could do something like that. Why can't I do a troupe? And then the more I started looking into what carnival's about, and that it's not just about making costumes, it's about unity. It's about bringing the community together. It's about working together to fulfill something that is going to create memories for so many people, and not just Black people, just for people full stop in our communities. So that was super important for me. So we just started that process. And
so how long did you do?
the original person to be.
how long have you been doing the carnival then? Because I know last year I remember the troupe, because I was there last year. I was part of the carnival last year on the stage. And I remember your troupe. Did you come first or second or?
Yeah. So for 2 years in a row, we've always come with place first. And last year we won the biggest and best troupe.
Yeah.
So it was all African inspired. One of the things, people that are in my circle, so to speak, or people that are involved in any of my projects, know that most of my projects are quite personal to me. So including the themes. So last year's theme was African. So it was a female warrior. And it was very Afrocentric. It was very African inspired. And we took it back to one of my first experiences with being in the carnival, which was the traditional Zulu warrior animal print. And that was from Gloria Pemberton. That was her carnival troupe.
Yeah.
And we was like, we're going back to basics. And then with all what was going on with the times and just with the rise of females, the female energy, and the way women are just kind of really dominating most arenas. It just made sense that we kind of brought it back to home. So it was, we're going full on African inspired Zulu. And I remember watching, I was in a hotel, so I was working away, and I was in a hotel, and I remember watching Coming to America, right?
Yeah.
So remember the scene, Coming to America, and you've got the all the dancers will come out and like, woo!
Oh yeah.
So that was really what solidified that theme. It was almost like the light bulb, and it was like, yes, I needed that confirmation. I needed that affirmation for me to say I am choosing the right theme for my troupe. And I wanted that level of energy, and I wanted that kind of vibe. And so so that's just what we went with. In the previous year, it was the goddess, it was gold, and we had the Isis wings, and it was all kind of very heavy beaded with gold and jewelry. And it was all about the female energy. I seem to attract women, which is great. I love it. Like the carnival team creative just tends to be a lot of women that are involved in our troupe, and I love it. So I kind of design and center the costumes around the participants, and it's that simple. And I try to make costumes that fit and suit everyone's body type. I'm not really into this make a bra one size fits all, and it's not going to fit someone that's got a jeans top. It don't. So sometimes as a designer, I really don't get the opportunity to design the type of costumes that I want to design. Because I would love to go full on sexy. I would love to go on full Brazilian, because I'd love to, because I think the female body form should be celebrated.
Definitely. I like that.
Definitely. And there is something that is really beautiful about seeing women that are just so liberated in their own skin, and that are so confident with who they are as women, and that take ownership and control over the very essence of who they are, and that are not dictated by male chauvinistic views that a good woman doesn't wear a bikini, or a good woman uses a brain. It's like,
really?
Please.
Exactly.
Please.
Sort yourself out. That's ridiculous.
So I'm hoping that maybe one day I have the confidence to kind of stand in that truth. But for now, I just love creating things for people within our community and people that are involved and actively involved in our community. But it's been beautiful to see Team Creative evolve. And I think that is the best word to say. We've evolved. We're more than just carnival costumes now. We've been doing so much humanity.
Yeah, because you're doing, you was working right through this COVID-19 pandemic, and set up the healthy eating, the summer club. So, talk to us about that. What inspired you to do that?
Yet again, it was just a natural progression. There was nothing that was forced. It was, in terms of having a troupe where every year throughout the carnival we've increased in numbers. So we started off, 2016 with 20, then when, every year we've doubled in size. You're building relationships with families in the community. But then with that, you start realizing some of the issues that is within your community.
Right.
So you look at, actually, it's all good and well, someone jumping up and down and enjoying themselves on one day. What's happening for the rest of the year? If this person is struggling to pay a costume, let's say is £40 or £50 or however much the costume is, they're struggling to pay that. Well, then that means I'm taking away from them their resources that actually could be needed in different areas. Then you start building relationships where people trust you. So then you start having personal conversations with people, and they're asking you questions like, do you know where the local food bank is? So you think, why would you ask me food bank? Are you struggling? So then you start helping, just like, oh no, don't worry about that, I'll drop some food off. So then you start researching, you start realizing there's actually resources out there. The government has got resources out there. There's funders out there. There's businesses that are ready and able to support organizations like myself to help people in the community. So then you start doing small projects and you start donating food and you start looking at ways of helping. And it's just literally folded and spiraled. And last year we did our very first summer camp, and it was all thanks to Wendy. Wendy was one of our troop members, and she works in a school. And she approached me. She was like, Tash, I'd love to see Team Creative get involved in doing something like this. And she kind of used her initiative, and we supported her as much as we can, the best way we could, and we put together our initial summer camp. And I have to give props to Wendy, because she really did kind of give us, she gave us that platform, so to speak, initially, where we would have probably not really thought about that in the same way. And it was a success.
Absolutely.
And we learned from that, so we improved on that, and we kind of then said, there's a need for this. And then this year COVID hit us, and that's when we realized there's going to be more of a need of this. We need to, our children, and especially Black Caribbean children, they're at the bottom of the food chain. Society, we slip through the gaps so easily, academically, with food security, with financial security, because of people's unfortunate biases, because of the way the systems are designed, because of our own cultural challenges that we have with our pride, and we don't ask for nothing, and a lot of things within our community we don't talk about. So we kind of fall through the gaps. And so with us, we're inclusive of everyone. Let me just say that we're very inclusive of everyone. But our focus is definitely people within a postcode within our communities. That's LS7 and surrounding areas. And it's about helping those marginalized groups of people, and young people in particular, that might get overlooked, that have challenges with schools, that get labeled being aggressive or being argumentative. And these are the people that are in our troops, mate. These are the people that, we vibes once a year, and we think like, no, you're like, not at all. And I was really actively involved this summer, and it was one of the most humblest experience that I experienced. And it was beautiful. I mean, the children, I still see some of the kids when I go shopping, and they shout me, they're like, Auntie Tashi, and it's like, yes, you remember me. The parents, the feedback from the parents, and and even the organizations that we've helped with, that helped us, so we got donations from BHI, we got funding from Leeds Community Foundation. We wouldn't have been able to do it without them. We've worked with Street Games Leeds, or Yorkshire, who donated toys and games for the kids. Just the professionals, Joe Williams, that came and did like a heritage walk for the young people. And you had Makita. He smashed it. He smashed it. And Makita Reeves that did the rubbish art, and Zebby, who did his kite making. So with Team Creative, we try to involve as many different people as possible from the community. So our young people had role models. So not only were these professionals that came in, that were doing activities for the young people. These were people that were, you know, dominant figures in our community that we see walking the streets, and it's like the children got to see them in a professional light. So for me, it was so important that they got to see other Black people who are doing positive things, that are doing humanitarian work. This is humanitarian work. They're giving back. They don't even get paid nowhere near how much they should for their craft. They don't get the accolades. They don't get the rewards that they should and that they deserve. So Team Creative as an organisation, we're really all about promoting our people in the best way that we can. It's about building them connections with other like-minded organisations. It's about working with other artists and kind of just injecting that creative but inspiring and motivational platform for our young generation to rise. And
that's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. You know, so, and your son, because, you know, he's doing absolutely fantastic, a young entrepreneur, 11 years old, and I know he did his first market yesterday. You know how
he did.
Yeah, fantastic.
It was fantastic. I mean, a massive thank you to Mahogany Market. And this is what I'm saying about like-minded people that are doing great things. So he was able to have his first stall. He's only 11. He's set up his own Kairos creams. We make organic homemade creams at home. We've been doing it for years now, because there's a lot of products that are in, you know, a lot of chemicals that are in products that people use on their skin. So we stopped using a lot of processed and you know, skins that you get in the high streets and the supermarkets. And that was always his job in the house, you know, for a while, was to help me make these creams. And he's just really inquisitive. His nickname is Norris. Those that know, you know, his nickname is Norris because he's like a 90-year-old man. He has deep, meaningful conversations with his mum. He is wise beyond his years. He's such a charming, charismatic little boy, but he's got something up there where he already understands the principle and the ideology of owning your own destiny and having a business and being in charge. Is like he likes the idea of being a boss. You know, he's telling me, "Mum, are you working for me on Saturday at the stall?" I'm thinking, boy, absolute cheek about working for you. Here I am. I want my wages. You know, I want my wages.
Exactly.
So yeah, but he's doing fantastic. But more importantly, the things that he's learning. What he's learning right about now, since COVID, since setting up his business. I don't think he'd probably ever learn that in a lifetime of being in school, in mainstream education. There's, you know, unless he specializes in business, but there's no way he would learn that in high school. He's learned so much about capital investment, about cash flow, about marketing, branding, about health and safety, food hygiene, cross-contamination, and the list is endless. But Saturday gave him that confidence that he needed about interacting with his customers and the consumers, and he was so confident and articulate, and you know, it was beautiful to see. Like, honestly, I was there watching, thinking, I'm just his chaperone, I'm just his driver, that's all I am. I'm just here, sat down, and it was beautiful. So I would say my biggest success in life right about now is my children. And honestly, and I say that in the most honest, endearing way. We can measure one's success with, you know, money. That's another way, you know, financial earnings. That's a great way of measuring your success, but it's relative. It's not always, doesn't mean he's successful. You can measure your success with personal growth and personal development. For me, that's a biggie. That's a biggie for me. But I think as a human being, to be able to have 2 children, touch wood, so far, I couldn't be more proud of both my children. And I feel that I see a lot of me in them. And the fathers, you know, but I see a lot of me in particular in my children. And in this day and age, with all what's going on with the media and technology, it's so hard being a parent, and it's becoming increasingly harder.
It is.
So for me to kind of see them develop and grow in the areas that they are, I just feel like no matter what my CV looks like, no matter what my biography says, no matter what these different paths that I've ever been on, for me, there's hands down, there isn't any greater success that I could achieve by having children that are happy, that are healthy, and more importantly, that I've got the life skills that I need them to have to be really successful, productive adults. And
fantastic.
I'm proud.
I think you're an absolutely fantastic role model. So what about you? Huh? What about love for you?
Oh God, I always say, and I keep I've been doing a lot of meditating, and I would say that I'm on my own little spiritual journey. I'm trying to kind of look within myself and look for the qualities that I want in someone, and that I've had in previous relationships. Love is complicated, and I think it's one of the things that we need to accept and understand. It's not as straightforward as we think it is and what we need it to be. It's complex. And love is an emotion that, as you change and as you grow and as society grows, so does your relationship with love, which means with other people. I feel for me, it's about standing in my truth. And I say that in the most honest ways possible. I'm talking about being the authentic you, not compromising on who you are as a person, whether that offends someone, whether that does not agree or stick to their standards or their ideology of what they visualize as their perfect wife or perfect woman. It's about you owning who you are. Me creating the boundaries that I need for myself, like behavior that I am willing or not willing to accept. And actually saying it's okay to just walk away. It's okay to accept that this relationship with love needs to take a different turn. But it's falling in love with myself. I think we allow other people.
That's the most important. Yes, definitely.
It is.
Yeah.
It is, and it's such a cliche, like, oh, how can you fall in love with yourself? What does that mean? And it actually means enjoying your own company.
Exactly.
Having conversations with yourself, as mental as that sounds, having them conversations with yourself. Really understanding what makes you happy and what makes you sad and what makes you kind of areas where you need to kind of develop and think, oh, I need to I need to adventure more in that because I don't know enough about it. And it's just having a great understanding of who you are and where you want to be and who you choose to go on that journey with, and understanding that do not allow somebody else to create a pedestal that they've created for you to stand on. That is nonsense.
No.
That is nonsense. You are you, including the things that other people may consider as failures, even the things that you would probably do again, you would do over and think, I've learned my mistake, or I've learned my lesson from that mistake, and I would never make that mistake again. Don't allow somebody to hold you a prisoner in your own life, because one of the things, and this is going back to my profession as an embalmer, working in the funeral industry, being around death constantly, I live on my, literally, I am born here on this planet on my own. No amount of human being, flesh, intimacy with anybody else is going to really give me the happiness that I can give myself. That person is to complement me as a human being, and vice versa. And nobody's going to hold, and I hopefully don't ever want to hold anybody a prisoner because of my own insecurities or because of my own issues that I have. So it's about working on you as a person, but being open to love and being open to different types of relationships, and just experiencing life and just being happy about what it is, and just walk in your truth, girl, and just kind of try not to be negative, and just be peaceful, just be at peace. That shit happens in life, and sorry my language, but stuff happens in life. Stuff happens in life, and it doesn't make you a bad person. It just means that you're growing. And if I'm standing still and I'm not ever growing, then I might as well, I'm dead. I'm dead, because anything, a tree, It
Yeah.
grows and it has to
Yeah.
grow, and that means with the experiences that you experience.
Yeah.
And there's no such thing as failure. It's just a
No,
learnt lesson.
a learnt lesson.
You know,
That is
a
so
learnt
true.
lesson in life.
Yeah, that
It's
is
about
so
learning them
true.
lessons and trying to learn from your mistakes or learn from that lesson and just live, because we've only got one life. And I don't know, tomorrow's not guaranteed.
Not guaranteed
Tomorrow's
to anybody.
it's
Yeah,
not
it's not.
not
No.
guaranteed. So
Yeah,
who,
that was.
who am I? Who is Tashi?
And
That's
that's
it.
the
That's who
question.
am I?
That's the question. Who is Tashi? Oh, we haven't gone again, have we? What's happened? Who is
Honestly,
Tashi?
I still don't know the answer to that, but I do know who I am now. I'm a mum of two.
Yeah,
I love who I'm becoming.
yeah,
I love that I am learning to be confident to say it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to try new things. And it's certainly okay to take a gamble on the things that you believe in. So
yeah.
that's who I am. I'm not frightened of a hard day's work, girl. Those that know has seen me in my van driving. I am not frightened to do a hard day's work.
Yeah,
And I am a person that knows I am still a work in progress. There is still
we
so
are.
much more that
Yeah,
I can do better. And there's still so much more things that I want to achieve.
yeah,
There's still so much things that I want to learn. So I'm a work in progress.
yeah.
I am by far not perfect of the sort, and I never
No,
want to be.
no. And what is perfect? What is perfect?
All relative.
Yeah,
It's all relative.
exactly.
It's all
Exactly.
relative. But I'm enjoying living, I'm enjoying living. I'm not even going to tell you, maybe off camera, I'll tell you some of the things in terms of little groups.
Yeah, that's
But,
fine.
but it's all about the empowerment of yourself and
Yes.
just kind of just living and embracing experiences and just kind of really just trying to be peaceful within yourself. And it really starts, people can't break you if you are strong
Mm,
within. And that means everything. That just means society. That's no
yeah,
one in particular. It just means society. It just means the pressures that you have sometimes with maintaining work and
yeah,
trying to conform and fit into your place in society.
yeah.
I'd love to travel the world and just think, let me just sell up and let me just travel the world. But there has to be a level where I can't just do that. So
No, no. But it'll
sometimes
come.
that's hard
It,
to deal with.
yeah, but it'll come. That time will come. I mean, at the moment, you know, it's all going to change and we can travel again nicely and you'll be off traveling
Yeah.
the world. So who
Yeah.
is your superhero?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Right. I'm going to be really superficial, right? I'm
Okay.
going to say I got two superheroes, but this is
Okay.
really superficial.
Okay.
I would say Beyonce
Okay.
and
Okay.
Michelle Obama, right?
Okay.
Very superficial in some ways
Yeah.
because, like I said, a person's level of success should never be, well, not never, but it's not just, materialistic or the value of what's in their bank account.
No.
But I admire these two women
Yeah.
so much for their creativity, for their, for their savviness, for their boss-like behavior, all them sort of attributes. I'm a massive Beyonce fan.
Yeah.
But ultimately, who I'm admiring is my daughter. Like, and I know this sounds like a bit of a cliche, and I don't
No.
want her to get a big head. Probably not even watching anyway. But like, honestly, when I look at her, I see the the creme de la creme of what I was like when
Wow.
I was her age. She's the best. She's like the the superhero version of what I was
Yeah.
when I was her age. So when I look at her and I'm thinking, you're just amazing. Like, you're just doing such wonderful things. I am really inspired just by this young human being that I've created. And I look at her and I just think that I'm just absolutely in awe of who she's becoming. So my closest superheroes, because there's more than one,
Yeah.
are the women that's really in my life, directly in my life, the women that I am continuing to surround myself
Yeah. What is going on?
And let's not forget our emotional and hormonal way of being,
Yeah.
that we put on this great armor and this facade, and we're owning this, but we know how sometimes difficult it is when we get home behind closed walls, and we know that behind every superhero or every shero, we have our weaknesses, and we have our areas where it's like, if only people knew this is what I'm dealing with, or if only people knew this is how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And it's these women that have this ability to just constantly shine in every space that they're in.
Yeah.
You know, these women that are constantly walking with their heads held high in every situation that they're in. And you know, there's women that I admire, and a lot of the times it's because of some of the negative things that I hear, and I think, mate, when people have got time to say negative things about you and say, oh, she's so aggressive and she's so controlling when it comes to business, and I'm thinking, I need to take a leaf from that woman's. Because I know it's not easy being a boss. I know it's not easy steering a team of people. I know it's not easy juggling all these other areas. And definitely when it comes to love and relationships, it is not easy being a boss woman when we're living in times like this. So I have many heroes and sheroes, and but yeah, I'm blessed that now I'm walking, and even women like yourself that's creating these platforms, that's giving me that opportunity to kind of just have these conversations. And kind of, it's beautiful. And you know, I've watched these shows, and you know, there's so many of your female guests that I'm in awe of. You know, let's not just talk about Marcia, let's not just, you know, talk about Karen. There's so many women, and Heather, and there's so many women, like I say over and over again, that locally inspire me. And I think one of the things that I'm going to start doing when I'm walking going forward is actually starting to tell these women more.
Yeah.
You know,
that's what we need to
you
do.
don't need to just be Beyonce.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to do when I'm Beyonce. Like,
so what's next for Tashi?
I just really want to focus more on my humanitarian work. So obviously I work for a disaster company, crisis disaster company, where I travel internationally. So a lot of people that are around me know that I spent months upon months in Ethiopia last year. Because of COVID, I was meant to be in different areas. I was meant to be in India, and I was meant to be in different places this year. And I really want to focus on that. I really want to take my work more internationally.
And your mic's gone a bit funny.
Oh, is that better? Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's gone a little bit. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Yeah, that's better. Go ahead.
Oh, good. Yeah, so I was saying, so I want to just concentrate more on my international work, my humanitarian work, and you know, working for the UN, and just going internationally, and dealing with disasters and crises, and just looking at the world as a smaller place. You know, it doesn't just stop at Leeds, it doesn't just stop at West Yorkshire or the UK. There's so much we can offer as professionals, you know, as an embalmer, you know, someone that deals with long-term preservation, but also with a lot of my crisis work. There's so much international work that is out there, and it's not being frightened to wander across the you know, the sea, you know, go across to the other end of the earth. And that's really where I'm at now, is kind of focusing that and opening up the international work that I've been involved with of recently, and just keep growing and just be the best that I can be, spiritually, emotionally, physically, you know, and just be happy. Just the pursuit of happiness, girl, is like, you know, you want to wake up in the morning and be thankful that you're here.
Definitely.
You know, I don't want to wake up and think, oh, I'll go back to bed. I want to wake up thinking, right, what's happening today? Exactly. What am I doing this morning? What work have I got on? You know, what work have I got booked in my diary this week? And I want to continue having that enthusiasm and not allowing myself to have moments of insecurities, which is usually other people's projections in society.
No,
and just kind of
we haven't got time. There's too many other things going on in the world, so we haven't got time with that. You've got to keep moving forward, stepping into your greatness and doing and achieving whatever your heart wants you to do. That's what you've got to do. Keep moving forward.
Yes.
You know, there's no
Yes.
point letting somebody hold you back. You know, whatever you want to do. And that's taken me a long time to actually get to that point. You know, whatever I want to do, I'm going to do it. I'm going forward. I'm not going back anymore. I'm going forward. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. So how can,
You need that.
yeah, definitely. So what would you say to a person who needed some motivation? How would you inspire that person?
Keep going. There is no blueprint. I personally feel there's no blueprint to it. It's all about you. You have all the tools, the skills, the genetics that you need to have to do and complete the goals and missions that you have set for yourself. A lot of the times we give up so early before we even get to that end result where actually all the rewards are. And it's keep going. It is keep sharpening your tools.
Yeah.
It's continue to work. Every little bit of work that you do, every new experience that you do is giving you the steps and is taking you on that path to get to where you need to be. It's about never ever giving up, and it's about protecting your inner self from other people and other things that society, the challenges that society puts up for us to fail. It's about keep going. Like, honestly, I personally feel that there's no real guide to success. It
No,
really is just keep
yeah,
going.
just keep going. Yeah,
Don't give up,
yeah,
and do not create obstacles for yourself. A lot of the times it is fear. It's that fear of failing why we don't see our true potential, is because we're so bothered and scared of, if it doesn't work out, what is it going to look like? We're so bothered about other people's opinions on us. We're so bothered about caring about people liking us.
yeah.
And it's like, forget all that nonsense and just keep doing you. Keep, fine tuning your graft, your skill, but take our emotions out of it. Be thinking pragmatically. Let's think logically. Let's think of, this is where we need to be. How do I get there? What do I need to do to get there? Looking at our diaries, time management is a massive one. Making sure our work is effective. And I'm only just learning that now. Stop all this nonsense work that is not going to help you to get to where you get into, and you're busy working to get other people to where they need to get to, and that work is not servicing your purpose and your goals. Stop all that, because no one else is doing that for you.
Wow.
Make sure you continue to stay passionate about what it is that you have set out, but have a clear plan. Have a very, very clear plan in black and white. So it is going back to your vision board, your mood boards, your manifestations, your journals, your diaries. Write it down. What is your goal? I know my goal is to, retire and to be working, to be living abroad, in a nice hot country. I want to be doing my international work. I've put that on paper. It's on paper. Where am I going to be in 5 years' time? This is where. What steps do I need to do to get there? Right. Well, I need to build these contacts. Right. I need to do this. Right. I need to make sure I've got this qualification, hence the masters. Right. I need to make sure I'm doing this. I need to. That's all it is. Stick to your plan and just keep prodding along. And every time you get distracted, just go back to your board, your vision board, or your notes, or your journal, and remind yourself of them conversations. And guess what? Talk to yourself.
I love it.
Talk to yourself. Yeah, especially in moments of weakness and moments of doubt and moments where you're just feeling really vulnerable. Talk to yourself, remind yourself you're a good person, especially if you actually are, let's hope you are a good person, but remind yourself that you're a good person and you're trying. And I'm really, really trying, and God just keep giving me the strength to continue to go on this journey. And, I'm trying to learn from everything that I'm doing. Just talk to yourself, meditate, and just stick to your plan, stick to your vision, and just believe in yourself, man. Just believe in yourself and don't wait for other people to be your savior.
No.
Don't wait for other people to rescue you. You be your superhero. You be your champion. You be your biggest cheerleader. You tell yourself that you're doing good and it's okay to take a detour, or, you know, maybe this isn't working out for me. Let me take another path. I'm still going to get there eventually, but this path ain't working out. So I'm going to take another path. So, yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Tashi, that was fantastic. I know you have totally inspired me. So there's going to be so many people out there. They'll be like, wow, I need to like get myself into gear and get myself sorted out. But oh, you know what? Thank you so much for joining us today. Can you believe it's 6:20?
What? See, I can talk a lot, Leslie. I talk a lot. I hope I haven't bored people. I really hope I haven't bored people.
No, you haven't. Wow. Wow, what a oh, wow. Tashi, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. It really has. And just carry on. I know you're going to carry on doing your fantastic work. But yeah, I've really appreciated you coming on this platform and sharing your story with us all. Fantastic. My pleasure.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Thank you, Leslie. You're doing a great job, and keep doing you, and, you know, keep creating these platforms where we can have these discussions, and, you know, you're doing amazing things as well. And let's keep up with this sisterhood and, you know, this empowerment for one another. And this is great. This is wonderful. You're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Stay right there. Let's say bye. Bye to our viewers, to our audience. Thank you so much for joining us today. And Tashi, if anybody wanted to get in touch with you for whatever reason, how would they get in touch with you?
Get in contact with me via Instagram, my makeup page, which is 4 Faces MUA, or you can contact me via Team Creative at Instagram. We've got websites, www.teamcreative Leeds, or we've got my www.4facesmua. I'm always around. I'm sure you could pass my details on. Yes, but like I said, if anybody contacts me, you can.
And before we go, my goodness, before we go, Tashi and her son, Cairo, have been nominated for an award, a Windrush Awards. So I'm going to leave the link. You've got to vote. You've got to vote. I mean, little Cairo, never mind Tashi, which is doing fantastic. But little man, 11 years old, come on now. We need to be voting. We need to be big enough. We need to be pulling our people up. So I'm going to leave the link at the end of this interview. So please, vote. Okay. But thank you so much for joining us. I so appreciate it. And I will see you next week. Next week, Sunday, another woman who has another incredible story. So yeah, I will be telling you who it is in the week. But thank you so much for joining us. I've got another announcement to make. I have got another announcement. We are going to be doing a Black History Month special edition this month. And we have got some fantastic guests who are coming on. So I'm going to let you know in a couple of days who is going to be on the panel, because we've got quite a lot of people actually who are going to be on there. So I'm super excited about this. So yeah, look out for that. But thank you so much for joining us, and I will see you next week Sunday. Thank you. Bye.